BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support. And let's keep paying the mission forward. What are you running from? What is the fear that's tucked deep back into the dark places of your mind that makes you tap into thinking that you're a failure, that makes you think that you're never going to be able to strive past what's in your thoughts? We have to stop sharing this negative narrative to ourselves that's being seen as you're always trying and you're falling short. This isn't about being perfect. Let today be the day that you name your fear. Let today be the day that you stop waiting to feel ready. Let today be the day you step forward scared and still go do what you're striving to do anyways. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was the overweight kid, the one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart, and in today's BTB short, this is one that is deeply personal, and it's one that has challenged me as a coach, a human being, and as someone who believes in building people from the inside out. Again, the whole mission of the BTB Project was to help people find purpose, find identity in eliminating distractions in their life, to go after a common goal, to go after being a dreamer and being like a coach I never had. But in order to build people from the inside out, you have to ask the required open-ended questions to understand where they're at based off of where they want to go. And one of the number one things that I always run into is this aspect of fear. And I'm not talking about the type of fear that you read in self-help books. I'm talking about real fear. I'm talking about the kind of fear that steals your breath, the kind that convinces you to hold back, the enemy, the devil, literally on your left shoulder, whispering into your ear of every possible insecurity and self-doubt that reminds you that you can't do this. That whisper inside of your head that blocks you from anything extraordinary that you want to do in your life. Now, I know that this concept is a huge lift. It's very broad, and I'm using the example of one of the students that I coach because we recently just had some breakthroughs that I think will help you as the listener but I want to make sure that I don't take lightly the realness of fear based off of my own personal testimony. You've heard in previous episodes what I've faced, what I've had to overcome, and it's been incredibly challenging. But one of the toughest clients I've ever worked with was a high school tennis player, and they weren't the most talented. They didn't necessarily have the best body to endure the game of tennis. They were a little bit taller, a little bit clumsier, had a hard time controlling their body in off balance positions, so on and so forth. But every time this particular person pushes themselves physically, whether it's sprinting or trying to grind through a tough set of footwork patterns to get to a tennis ball, his body and primarily his breathing literally betrays him. He suffers from a rare breathing condition called vocal cord dysfunction. And his vocal cords tighten when he exhales under stress. So imagine this: you're working your tail off, you're trying to build your endurance, and your body literally starts to choke like you're drowning in open air. That as you exert yourself more, you can't get oxygen to your lungs. You feel like everything is shutting down when your body just simply wants to be replenished with oxygen. And that reality of every time he's being pushed, he's shutting down. It breaks my heart that he has to go through that. But I want you to now imagine for a second how hard it is to push past your limits to embrace discomfort, even when you are able to breathe. But if you have this other underlying issue of where your body's telling you to stop because you can't breathe, how do you possibly overcome that? And the fear of knowing that you're not going to be able to breathe is very real. But something else that is very real is your ability to grow. And that's where I'm so proud of this particular client is this kid keeps showing up. He doesn't just battle this physical condition with breathing, but he's battling something deeper. The fear behind the fear that no one ever talks about. It's not just about breath. It's the fear of what might happen when you can't breathe. What if I pass out? What if I fail in front of everyone? What if I can't be the athlete I know I'm capable of being? Think about this for a second. We all have our own version of that. It might not be vocal cords. It might not be a breathing issue, but it might be trauma. It might be anxiety. It might be shame. It might be the story that you told yourself when things were getting hard in your past life, or when things are tough today, or worrying about the future. It might be the story that you tell yourself all the time, even when a coach or a teacher or your friends are telling you otherwise. And that's why this episode isn't just about a tennis player. This episode is about you. It's very important that as we think about these types of situations, that we go process oriented with how to overcome these obstacles that we put on ourselves. So step one, when you're thinking about acknowledging some of the things that might be holding you back, is you have to name the fear. Most of us never face our fear because we've never named it. For me, it was gaining weight. Genetically, my dad was always more heavy set. My uncle was more heavy set. My mom's side of the family, her parents were more heavy set. And sometimes I would avoid it. Sometimes I'd run away from it by actually eating more or suppressing my feelings through food, through sugar, through not taking care of my body. But the moment that I made that shift right after high school and lost 100 pounds in 13 months, that shift happened because I named the fear. Instead of numbing it or masking it or hustling around it, I actually said out loud, I'm not in shape, but I know I can be in better shape. I'm a bigger guy. I'm the big teddy bear, but I know I can be in better shape to accomplish my goal. Those were the types of affirmations that I had to start saying to myself that I highly recommend you say to yourself as well, because it changes the paradigm shift of what we typically say to ourselves as human beings. I'm scared to fail. I'm scared I'm not enough. I'm scared I'll never breathe freely again. Naming the fear takes away its power. It brings that fear to light. And what lives in the light ends up losing control over you. It's those dark places. That's what I've been working on with my client is he tends to isolate himself. He tends to not want to face some of these fears of his breathing condition because he's so scared of what might happen if it flares up. But if you bring it to light, if you talk about it, it loses control over you. So make sure you name it and bring it to the surface. Step 2 is use the fear because fear isn't the enemy. Fear is actually more of a signal. And in today's day and age, we're learning to train our nervous systems in a way that our bodies are able to adapt and adjust in extraordinary ways. The tools we've used with athletes and business professionals is to move through fear instead of around it, facing the fear head on, being able to acknowledge it and face it with everything that we have. With that, how to face it is through introception training. This is the ability to sense what's happening inside your body. Our brain and our body can be incredibly disconnected. But as a coach, I'm helping people notice when fear creeps in, to be aware of it. Is your chest tightening? Is your breathing getting more fast paced? Are you having racing thoughts? And being able to use that introception training to work on your breath, to respond in more of a positive way through your body than to panic. Doing things like a 4-7-8 breathing technique, where you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7, and you exhale for 8 seconds. This pattern actually ends up lowering your cortisol and activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your body's calm switch. So instead of teaching people to run away from their fear, we teach people to run through it with techniques of when they face it, how to continue to move forward. And that calm switch is a life changer. So make sure you're tapping into that breath work when you can. It takes 30 seconds to do 4-7-8 breathing. And in that 30 seconds, it can shift the trajectory of not just that present moment, but your future moving forward. Next is mental constraining. And the mental constraining piece is being able to learn how to control our minds as these fear or panic moments creep up. And with my client, we've created visualization of the goal that they have, which they want to inspire to play high school tennis at the highest level possible. And they visualize that obstacle. As they visualize the goal and then visualize some of the obstacles, we then plan the win then response, meaning something like if the goal was, I want to finish this workout, and the obstacle is, well, my breathing might tighten. I might not be able to push myself because my body won't allow me to breathe. When that happens, you'll have a plan. And that plan is you'll breathe through your nose and focus on the remaining aspects of that workout, not on the fear. It's the breath work that changes the trajectory of the outcome of the workout because you've reprogrammed your brain to suppress that fear rather than fall victim to it. Another great strategy is progressive exposure to discomfort. Fear and discomfort tend to go hand in hand. We want to avoid it as much as possible. But if I've experienced anything both as a player and as a coach, is this isn't about going from 0 to 100 in your rep count for a workout or in your sport. It's about the types of reps that you're enduring with discomfort. Is the exercise challenging enough to where you're not going so far out of your way to hurt yourself, but you're pushing yourself to actually create adaptation? So an example of this is do 10 minutes of running at a pace that makes you uncomfortable. And be very intentional that you make it on purpose. That if you typically go out and do a jog at a 9-minute mile, why don't you go out there and see if you could do it at a 7-minute mile? And during that 10 minutes, I want you to get used to that discomfort. Show your nervous system that you're still safe, even though you're pushing yourself. And this type of exposure to discomfort, it's one of the most extraordinary ways to do extraordinary things. This doesn't just work for athletes. CEOs are using this discomfort mechanism, doing cold plunges, doing public speaking drills, even hard conversations with their teams. It's all connected. They're finding ways to get uncomfortable. And lastly, another great way to overcome these moments of fear and self-doubt is anchor statements. This is around our identity, positive affirmations that eliminate fear and build your self-confidence. We got to have a stronger voice in order to do that. I'm the kind of person who breathes through fear. That's a positive affirmation. I don't want to stop because it's hard. I slow down and stay in it. That's a positive affirmation. Discomfort is data, not danger. That's a positive affirmation. What I was able to work on with my client a few weeks ago was I asked him just a very simple question. What would happen if we stopped running from the fear and we decided to start building with it? I'm telling you, he looked at me like I had 10 heads. He was a little scared, but he was also ready. I could tell that he spent so much time consumed in his thoughts that this was an opportunity for him to change his life. And I'm in the business of helping that light bulb moment go on so that they can change their lives. No different than the way that I changed mine. Every single day since this conversation, he's been showing up. He's just 1% more committed to courage and believing in himself than he was the day before. But now it's your turn. What are you running from? What is the fear that's tucked deep back into the dark places of your mind that's holding you back? And that makes you tap into thinking that you're a failure. That makes you think that you're never going to be able to strive past what's in your thoughts. We have to stop sharing this negative narrative to ourselves that's being seen as you're always trying and you're falling short. This isn't about being perfect. Let today be the day that you name your fear. Let today be the day that you stop waiting to feel ready. Let today be the day you step forward scared and still go do what you're striving to do anyways. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave for one more breath. Then another. Then another. It is that type of mindset, one step at a time, one breath at a time, that not only allows clients like what I shared to accomplish their goals, but for you to accomplish yours. Listen, if this BTB short about fear and self-doubt and how to overcome those moments, if this episode impacted you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and give them the breathwork tips. Give them ways in the moment of uncertainty and doubt that they have a tool that they can use to work through it. We're not going to run from fear as a BTB community. We're going to face it head on. And we're actually going to use it as a pedestal, as a springboard to go after anything we put our minds to. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.